I've been told by everybody up on this roof that they're all off the roof. I am on the roof of exposure 4. Got fire through the roof of the 5 million, the entire rear section.
Now remember, given the payday, has he been accounted for? Okay. 610B, that was the mayday, 610B.
I'm here. We got a fire. 1.5-story, single-family dwelling. Fire shown from the second floor. Give me a second alarm on this.
Up to the top floor, I got people hanging out the top floor windows with a baby.
Commercial building, a lot of fire, a lot of smoke. Go ahead and strike a third alarm on my orders on this.
Got people on the front fire escape here with windows centered below them. We need somebody up there.
Yeah, let them know we got a job. I'm pulling up now. Second alarm, I got a 1-story single-family frame. Heavy fire showing from the attic.
So we're using all hands. We got one line stretch, fire on the 4th floor. Second line being stretched. Primary searches are underway.
Hey, welcome back to our Fire Engineering Podcast, The Command Post. I'm Chief Rick Lasky, along with my best buddy, Chief John Salka, and we'd like to thank you for joining us once again. We always try to bring you topics, that'll pique your interest and hopefully make a difference in our great fire service. Some different things that sometimes people suggest, and sometimes we just make them up right before we go live. So, but those sometimes seem to be the best. But hey, buddy, we're still rescheduling classes, and I know you and I have both been adding new ones to the schedule. To our listeners, just all you gotta do is get a hold of us. If you're looking to see where we're going to be. I post all of ours that John and I do together, and the ones I do on my website at prideandownership.com and on my Facebook page. But give us a shout. We're doing a lot of Zoom chats, a lot of online things right now. So give us a holler if you want to do something online with us. We'd be more than happy to accommodate us. We just did. Let me see. We're coming up on our 8th session with the Lynchburg, Virginia Fire Department, John, and that's been going great. What a great group, huh?
Yes, it is a great group, and of course, it's one of our favorite topics. Company officer preparation, company officer training, and it's great that Lynchburg, like many other places around the country, are finally, I don't want to call it buying into, but they're finally realizing that it's well worth whatever type of investment, whether it's financial, whether it's time, it's well worth the investment to prepare your new company officers for the new role that they have. So many places in the past, and which is what started our whole program. So many places in the past just pinned your new badge on you and let you say a couple of words and sent you to engine 2, and now people are really realizing that there's so much more to it than that. So the Lynchburg group is great. We're getting good questions and good participation. This whole online, this whole Zoom type of thing is a little different than what most of us are used to. But everybody is very easily and very quickly adapting, and I'm enjoying it. There's nothing like standing in front of a classroom. There's nothing like walking down the aisle and tapping a guy on the shoulder saying, "What about you? Is that what you would do?" There's nothing like that. But obviously, that's not possible right now because of the situation with the COVID-19. So the Zoom and the other online applications are really just, they're stepping up. They're really just filling the void very well for us. And I think we're developing a whole new channel for instruction that will probably not go away when regular physical attendance classes resume.
Well, you're exactly right. And, we were doing some of this before, and, it was always like an afterthought for a lot of places, or they didn't have the technology to pull it off. And there's more than just a Zoom platform. You and I have, had great success with Zoom, and there's, there's other platforms, obviously, that are out there that people are using. But I agree with you. And here's my thing, John. I think it's opened up the doors for a lot of chiefs to say, I'd love to have Chief Salka join us for my staff meeting with my staff Monday. But, right now to fly him out, hotel, all that stuff, man, if we could just do this, live on the air, if you will, with, and nowadays everybody's got the nice smart TVs in their training rooms or in their staff conference rooms.
Sure.
With the mics, and it works good. In Lynchburg, we've been to Lynchburg, Virginia. No kidding. What a great group. But we've been there before teaching. They've got great bosses, and it just says so much about a city that's willing, a fire department that's willing to do what they can, like you said, to prepare their people instead of just like, you mentioned a little while ago, pinning a badge on saying, there you go. So, but
Yep.
that's been going great. And like I said, back to, speaking of rescheduling, John, FDIC, we got to mention this. FDIC, God bless Bobby and the group, Chief Halton, with the pandemic and everything going on, it's been so hard, buddy, trying to pull off conferences, let alone one that brings 35,000 people to Indianapolis. We had to move it and postpone it. And, and they tried again, one more time thinking, okay, we'll move it, we'll postpone this year, get it going this year and that year. And now we have to move it again. It's official for our listeners. You can get to FDIC.com and get all the information, but FDIC International 2021 has been moved to August. It'll be August 19th through the 24th. Now, I'm sure, John, because, we were late in the game here because they always have the hall and everything else booked, the convention center years and years in advance. This one actually, buddy, is Thursday, the 19th through Tuesday, the 24th. So it's going to be the hands-on training and the pre-conference workshops, John, will be Thursday and Friday, the 19th and 20th. Then the conference classroom sessions, the full conference will start Saturday and go Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then the exhibits actually open like Sunday, August, Sunday through Tuesday. Now, for those FDIC attendees, no different than before, just slide the days. Everything's the same. The first 2 days are is the hot pre-conference hands-on training and pre-conference workshops. Then you get the next several days with the regular conference and general sessions, and then the exhibits. Same FDIC. Just slide it over from Monday through Saturday to Thursday through Tuesday. John and I will be doing our classes again. They're moving us into the same slots. So, the first day on Thursday, we'll be doing our workshop. I'll be doing one for Women in Fire in the morning, and then John and I will be doing our workshop. We're doing the big room on day 3, John. We're doing after hours with Bobby and Bill Gustin and John Norman. That'll be huge. That'll be fun. We'll pack. That'll be about 5,000 people. That'll be fun. Unhinged and with no script again, which is how we like it. But then we'll do all our book signings and our radio shows, and then the last second to last day, I guess it would be we'll be doing our 3 Degrees of Mayday in the morning in the regular session. So same folks, FDIC.com. FDIC.com if you're looking for any information. August 19th to the 24th. We hope to see you there. It's always a great time. And thanks everybody for your patience. This has been unprecedented is not even the proper word, I guess, for describing it. One last reminder, we have our Hump Day Hangout the third Wednesday of every month. Usually this month we switched with our friend Frank, and we're moving from the 20th to the 27th. That's John, myself, Chief Bobby Halton, Chief Scott Thompson, and Chief Terry McGrath. So catch us on the 27th. And as always, like I said, we've got some great classes and seminars. This year is filling up fast with having to reschedule everything and all the new stuff. So if you're at all interested, get a hold of us right away so we can get you taken care of. And lastly, if you're looking to host one of our company officer academies or our chief officer academies for those BCs and shift commanders through us or through our wonderful partner, Columbia Southern University, CSU, again, same thing. Reach out to us and we'll get you lined out. So, all right. There we go. We got that information, that important information out of the way, John. One of the topics that you and I we bring it up a lot in a lot of different areas, venues, and different podcasts and shows, so on and so forth. But is about taking care of our stuff. And you and I were on the phone just yesterday talking about this topic. I guess what reminded me of it. Joe Dillon is one of the volunteers with Wichita West here in Texas, where I volunteer. He's also an instructor for the Air Force here at the Shepherd Air Force Base. He's a great young man, born and raised in New York, golly, about 18 miles from you. What's that, Rockland County? Am I right?
Right, not too far. Yep.
And so, John, we were up there the other day, me, Joe, one of our lieutenants, Destiny Garcia, and another lieutenant, Mark Venzer. And we just went up there actually on a Sunday and tore the engine apart. I mean, everything out of every compartment and, washed out the compartment, dried it, cleaned everything, put it back in there. Every bit of the rig, inside out, scrubbed, soap, that. And you would think it shouldn't be that big of a project if you take care of it all the time. But, it was a big project. And one of the things Joe brought up, he goes, yeah, this reminds me of, back in New York. And, when I was, where I volunteered in my brother's department, all that stuff, that they have this yearly actually competition when it comes to taking care of the rigs. And I know, I think we're gonna title this one. I think we're gonna call it your Firehouse, your engine, your tools, and taking ownership. But I guess let's start with let's start back. Let's jump in the middle of this, I guess, John. Let's talk about the engine first. What was Joe talking about? He said it's a competition or something that they do there, preparing all the rigs, all the volleys, or something. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much of a competition, but it's like an annual event, and we got a couple of things that happen. One of them is this: they actually have like a Christmas parade in Washingtonville, and it's grown to be much bigger than a fire department. But it started off as mostly fire trucks, and all the departments from around the neighborhood, the county, let's say, came in, and man, everybody worked on those rigs like obviously they're going to be out in the public eye, and it's a big positive event. But what you're talking about is something that they have at the county parade every year. It actually is a competition, and they're actually judged. You have to enter them. You have to enter your rigs. They have all different categories. For current in-service rigs, 10 years older or newer, right? And then the different categories. And I don't remember each different category for the how old the rigs are. And then it goes all the way back to antique rigs. Now, and so everybody who enters their apparatus in this competition, in other words, you're going to be in the parade to start with, and they judge them ahead of the parade, just in case it rains or in case people climb on the rig and mess something up, right? So the rigs go down there earlier, like 2 hours earlier, to get judged, and they have a whole panel of judges that look at them. Some of the things are a little crazy. Some of the things are a little nitpicky. Like, one time they got a point or two up because one of the extinguishers was expired by a month. It didn't have a proper tag on it.
Oh,
but everybody knows what everything is, and I'm telling you, down to every nut and every bolt on the wheel rims are repainted. If they got chrome, they got everything repolished. I mean, they worked in my firehouse. They worked for 24 hours on the diamond plate alone, shining the diamond plate, putting the polish on it, taking it off with a buffer machine. And I mean, it really is. They empty every compartment. They empty every compartment every year, dust them out, wipe them out, vacuum out, and repaint them. Where they got a special gray paint that they use on the inside of the compartments. So, and everybody else is doing the same thing. Needless to say, you have, dozens and dozens and dozens of rigs as a result of this competition every year that are in such beautiful, great shape, from the oldest thing, 50, 60-year-old rigs, to brand new rigs as well.
Well, and I love the fact that they're appealing to the competitiveness. You and I've talked about this, the good competitiveness in the fire service, especially with the volleys, man. I mean, for forever. I mean, long before there were career fire departments. I mean, when volunteers, the competitions way back in the late 17 and 1800s, after Ben Franklin created the first volunteer fire department. In my history class, I've got portraits that they have of the volleys doing these competitions, first water. I mean, just crowds screaming, cheering, I mean, just, who could get what they're doing quicker. And then, you look even in Chicago in the 60s at Soldier Field when the CFD used to do that, the fire shows they packed that place. And, all the things you see, I love that appeal to the competitiveness. And then, because I've heard you talk about it, I just wasn't sure when Joe mentioned it. Joe, like I said, Joe Dillon, his family has been in the fire service a long time, right near you. He says this is like, back there taking care of the rigs and all that stuff. And you've seen it with your guys, where your chief, your volley department, the pride. I'll just say it, the pride, the ownership, the the love that they, there's just this whole, it's not like, we got to go up and take care of the rig and tear it apart. It's,
Oh, I know. And you know what? And like the week or two before this parade and before this judging of these rigs, there's somebody at the Firehouse every day, every afternoon, every evening till 9, 10 o'clock. Sometimes I'm coming home from somewhere else and I'm driving by and the doors are open and the lights are on and it's 10:45 at night on a Wednesday night. And there's 5 or 6 guys there working on, whatever the next thing was that they had to get done, the wheels or the compartments or the tools or whatever it was. So, and they all get pizzas every night and hang out there. And so it just turns out to be a great brotherhood issue as well.
Oh, it's just, and I know I tell the guys I appreciate them working on my future ladder truck. Every time they clean that up, I'll be driving that home from New York one day. But hey, real quick, while we're talking about taking care of the engine, because we're talking about the Firehouse and tools in a minute here. I don't know if I told you this, John. So we're taking care of the rig and realizing that the driver's side rear discharge is leaking. And, that's where, we've got our 2.5 pre-connected to it and started filling up the hose. And so we know we got a ball valve that's leaking, right? We got a ball valve that's leaking. And, we're talking about, okay, who are we going to call? What are we going to do? All that stuff like you normally do when you got something to repair. So I'm thinking, okay, we could tackle this. We've got some talented people here at Wichita West, a great group of people there. And so you know who I called, I'm going with this. I called our good buddy, Homer Robertson, one of the assistant chiefs at Fort Worth. Homer's been our buddy for a long time. And I called Homer and asked him some questions and, are you familiar with it? I said, it's a Darley pump and so on and so forth. He goes, it's a, 93, 94 engine. So it's been through some work. So, and he says, yeah, let me look into it. And the next day he sends me a text message saying that Jason Darley is going to be calling you. So, Homer. And I called Homer, are you kidding me? He goes, no. He goes, dude, I'm telling you, he goes, the Darley family, that it's a family run, family owned business. They treat people like family. He goes, it's weird to even say they have customers because I don't think they think of them as customers. They think of them as family. And I'm not, John, I'm not shitting you. My phone rings and it's Jason Darley from WS Darley and Company. And he's like, hey, Rick, what do you need? And I explained to him, I said, look, like a lot of volunteer departments, we're trying to do what we can to make a dollar go longer because of, limited budgets. And I explained to him, John, and he went through the whole thing. He's like, okay, what's proprietary to Darley is we have a stainless steel, ball inside the ball valve. And, he says, rather than get a new valve, what you could do is you could open it up, you could turn that ball 180 degrees on its masting face and package it back up. And that should take care of the problem. And I'm thinking, did he just tell me before we spend any money? Think about that. You know what I'm saying? Before we spend any money, try this. And that, that, John, that's always been a home run with you and I when it comes to customer service. When the first thing somebody tells you is how to fix something without buying something from them. I'm like, holy cow.
Right.
And John, he was just so, we're back. And this is, let me mention this. This was like New Year's Eve day or something. I mean, he's got family and stuff. And I'm like, golly. And then we're back and forth. We lost our signal. Then he calls me back today because, look, I'm so sorry to get back to you, but I had to. All right, tell you what, this is what you got to do. And, I just hats off. I'm just going to say it. I know we don't make it a habit of promoting a lot of vendors, but when we do, there's someone special. And hats off to Jason Darley and the Darley family at WS Darley and Company. You can look them up at darley.com. I think they've been around for I think Ben Franklin actually talked to the original, his great grandpa back then and said, we need a pump. What can this guy Darley do in New England? And I don't know where the hell they've been around forever. So Jason, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you. Class act there with Darley and Company. So,
and it's great when companies put the needs of the customers and the needs of the fire service ahead of their obvious own business needs of selling and being successful, so that's good.
John, you said it. Who are you going to call next time? You're a volunteer fire chief. You've been in the fire service almost 45 years, all the years with decades with the FDNY. You know it as with your budget, your Valley place. Who are you going to call? Are you going to call this guy that's always trying to nickel and dime you? Or are you going to call someone that you go, God, I mean, I get an honest answer and, it's great. So thank you, Jason.
Yep.
All right, John, roll back for a second. I know we jumped in the middle because we're talking about your firehouse, your engine, and your tools. Let's talk about the firehouse. Now, again, we did as my buddy Chief Tom Freeman would say, we knocked some lumps off. He always says, we gotta go knock some lumps off of the engine of the firehouse. But, I know it's hard for some of these places that have a huge facility to keep up with things, but my belief has always been if when we've got it clean, if we're just steady about the process, if you will, of, mopping and cleaning and wiping and just, what I'm saying, just every now and then taking a rag, a towel, and walking down a hallway and knocking the dust off the fire extinguishers hanging on the walls and wiping door handles down. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you have to take one day a year. Well, open house is coming. We have to hurry up and clean up the firehouse. I know we still do that to put our best foot forward with the public, to polish it up, I guess it is. But if you were taking care of it all year, doesn't seem to be that big of an issue, right? I mean,
absolutely. And I'll tell you another thing, like when you keep the apparatus floor and to some degree, it's easy to keep the public places, right? The places that you walk through 100 times a day that everybody sees. Sometimes it's easy to keep those in shape because you realize it and you're in them every day and you're back in and you're in the apparatus floor and you drive out and you're holding a drill out there and people stopping by. The summertime, the doors are open. But then you go in the back of the apparatus floor and you open up like the hose cabinet, or you open up the storage room and it's like, oh my God, I can't even get to the back of the room because people just tend to, like they do in their own houses sometimes, like in a basement room or a storage closet, toss stuff in there and close the door and think of it for another day. So my point being is the more you keep stuff in shape, the more you want to keep it in shape. And the more you straighten up and clean up the apparatus floor, then the next thing is, hey, guys are going to say, hey, let's jump on that hose cabinet back there. Let's get that cleaned up a little bit. So sometimes by not doing it, by ignoring it, or by doing it too infrequently, or by using excuses like, oh, we're too busy, or we're busy training, we don't have time to clean, or whatever excuse you want to use, sometimes that gets contagious. And sometimes the apparatus floor ends up looking like the hose cabinet. Sometimes the apparatus floor suddenly has stuff piled up on it. It's April and there's a set of snow chains laying on, next to the rig because they took them off one night after a storm and nobody's put them away yet. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody's really paying attention to the condition of everything. So I've always been, and I know you have too, and we know plenty of other guys as well. I've always been a supporter of really keeping everything nice. Apparatus floor, meaning the apparatus floor, naming it as a room, the apparatus floor, but actually the floor itself too. Even places that just got sort of a 30-year-old concrete stained floor, you can still keep that thing swept and clean and it still looks nice. You know what I'm saying? Everything doesn't have to be new. We're not asking you to go out and spend $30,000 and get the epoxy floor and repaint the apparatus walls and stuff like that. No, we're saying, if everybody keeps everything nice and neat and clean, if you put back everything when you're done with it, it just really just keeps spreading. Before you know it, like we do that in our firehouse and during that competition, when we're shaping up our rigs for that drill, for that parade, for that inspection, suddenly guys are washing the floor down when they're done each night. And when you look at the toolbox, the tools are all suddenly in order because they were using the tools to attach stuff and reattach stuff. And suddenly the toolbox is all in order. So without ranting and raving too long on this, it just really is it's a great way to start. And it turns into a very good habit,
Well, and I know what you're saying, and I'll disagree on a term you used, ranting and raving, because I know what you're saying. Not to go on it, but when someone like yourself or someone like one of our captains, Chris Bashford, he's also a deputy that works with my wife at the Wichita County Sheriff's Office. We were talking the other night about how it ebbs and flows. He was like, yeah, I've been here a long time. And he and I think Ryan, our chief Fetzer, started to pretty much the same time. They're best friends. with the volley place, it comes and goes because sometimes you get someone who's really doing something, they end up moving or whatever, and changing locations and that, and you start talking about it, and without people like you, without people like Chris, or talking about it once in a while, especially the younger guys and gals, ranting and raving or whatever, then no one's going to hear it, right? I mean, if they hear it, and that's the other thing too, if they see some of the officers, taking issue and jumping at stuff and cleaning stuff or doing things, what's their excuse? You know what I'm saying? When they see Chief Salka going, really guys, this is how we're going to leave the department or the station or whatever. Come on, we're better than this, right? We're better. And the guy's like, yeah, you're right, Chief. And when they hear you, do that, I think it settles in a little bit quicker with a lot of folks. Chief Tom Freeman, I remember a long time ago, I was still living in Illinois. We're outside of his headquarters Firehouse when he was the chief in Lyle Woodridge. He's in Elmhurst, Illinois now, but I think he did 25 years at Lyle Woodridge. But that being said, we were outside his firehouse, come back from having lunch across the street. As we're walking up, there was like a piece of paper blown around the ground. And he just reaches over, picks it up. He looks at me, and he just looks at me and goes, pride and ownership, right? And it's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal because I've watched people in the firehouse, John, literally step over trash, leave their Gatorade bottles, their water bottles around their stuff. They take tools out of the tool box and then they don't put them away. And I'm like, really? You took the screwdriver out to change a front piece on your helmet. Put the damn screwdriver away. And even if you
and then you see the captain of the rescue company walking between the two rigs, and he stops to pick up an empty coffee cup that blew in from the street on the apparatus floor 20 minutes earlier. He's walking by it, and he stops and picks it up and throws it in the garbage can. And then all the young firefighters saying to themselves, of course, wow, look at that. The captain picked up, he picking up trash as he walks through the apparatus floor.
Well, and you've said it. I've said a bunch of times. Your mommy and daddy don't work anymore. Nobody's here to pick up after you. Take care of the firehouse. I've said it before, especially when there's a rookie in the firehouse, a probie, there should never be a dirty firehouse. And I've said before, there's always something to be cleaned at the firehouse. I don't care where you work. I don't care if you open up a brand spanking new firehouse. There's always something to clean, mop, wash, broom, whatever. In the firehouse, there's just always something to clean. And two things I like. I like when I see guys just even simple things like blowing off the apron with the Louisville's famous for, they've got the gasoline, the mixed gas leaf blowers, and they're using them all the time to blow out because we left the doors open a lot, to blow the leaves and all the dust dirt off the apron, but gone. And they do that for a couple reasons. It works out nice, because they're always using those mixed gas leaf blowers, and they're filling them with the gas cans off the rigs, which means they're always putting fresh fuel in the gas cans on the rigs with the mixed fuel. So you've always got, instead of stuff that's been sitting in the can for whatever, they're always doing that. I said the other thing, John, when you see guys, dumping out the shop vac a lot, that in itself is telling you that somebody's cleaning, somebody's doing something there. So there's always something to do at the firehouse, to clean something in the firehouse, to broom, and again, I think it appeals to your sense of pride, to really, you look around and you see just, take a broom, hell, if you just cleaned out a corner of the firehouse, once a month, once every week or so, whenever you have a chance, all of a sudden after that, it's going to be so much easier to take care of things, Back to the engine real quick. I mentioned, Joe, Destiny, and Mark and myself going up there. And there's other guys, that jump up there too. But I stopped by the other day, and the one of the lieutenants, Mark Venzer, that I mentioned, was up with us. He's off from his career job, his regular job, and he's up there, and he's got these little these little scouring pads, John. Mm-hmm. And going to town on the discharges and on the tool, on the engine. And I'm like, and I had to run out and go take care of something. I went back, I texted him. I swear to God, John, it looks like the hydrant wrench and the spanner wrenches and the bracket, everything. It's like they're new.
Right.
That guy was like a crazy man cleaning that stuff. And I text, I said, it freaking looks awesome. And he's like, oh, thanks. Just, kind of I was just taking care of my engine, but I'm like, just that little bit of energy,
And that's the kind of stuff that's contagious. You noticed it. Other guys are noticing it too. Maybe even guys that aren't saying anything. And then all of a sudden, a couple of guys will come in after lunch or in an evening, and all of a sudden they'll be inspired. Hey, you know what? Let's go clean up. Let's go clean up the the hard suction, or let's go clean up the the training room, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So every little bit of positive energy that's spent in a firehouse usually causes some more and creates some more positive energy.
Well, and one of the newer members, I mentioned him on the show before, Ed Moore, retired captain from Cary, North Carolina. He's one of our Valley's volunteers as well. He was like, man, you should have called me. I was not doing nothing. I said, well, it started out where I was just going to come up there. Then I took a run. It was pouring rain, and we're on the engine I'm on there with Mark, and we came back and we adjusted one of the headlights on the engine. I told him, I'm gonna come on. Well, then he's calling me, what time are you going up there? And then I know Joe Dillon's he's a crazy man when it comes to taking care of the stuff with the firehouse and all that stuff. He, full of that enthusiasm he wish more people had. All of a sudden there's 4 of us up there, and halfway through it, John, Mark, they go out and they get some pizzas, and we took a break, and we're talking shop and talking family and things, and we're back out there. It wasn't like some hardship labor, like you're punishing somebody, and what started out to be just, let's just knock the lumps off the engine, was like a complete, like you say, overhaul, everything off the rig. Right. And then we're fixing things. And then, we're putting how the chains always come off the discharge caps, to keep them so you don't lose them, the little chains.
Right.
We're attaching those again and fixing light bulbs on things and stuff. And, all of a sudden, it turns into a bigger, then we're vacuuming and sweeping the floors and moving this around and change that locker. And
I love it.
Yep. And I love it. Just like Ryan Fetzer, the chief, he's like, oh man, how it is. Thanks guys. And, and I'm thinking, we should have been doing this all along, Chief. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we should have been doing this, but it was pretty cool to see that all happen. So taking care of the firehouse, and John, also real quick, before we move on for the firehouse, hanging up, you and I are both big believers in, personalizing the firehouse, maybe a company logo, or hanging up some pictures of the older guys and gals who are no longer there, the old rigs and fire scenes, and, a couple posters, maybe a poster of, first and last out leadership lessons from the New York Fire Department from John J. Salka Jr. There's that one, little things like that, just when you walk in and, because I just think when you don't add a little personal touch, actually some personality to your firehouse, it just becomes a building, right, John? It just becomes like, where, what I'm saying, where I think people are a little bit less likely. That was me with the company logos. When I told my boss at Louisville, if you let me put logos on the rigs, they're going to wash it more. They're not going to let the engine or ladder, the ambulance get dirty with their own company logo on it. It goes against
absolutely
the right.
So true. True.
So talk to me about the engine. What do you expect? Aside from the yearly competition and for parades, what do you expect from? Let me break it down into 2 parts. What do you expect from your volleys when it comes to take care of their engines, because they have competing demands, right? You're lucky to even have them, when you have them, because it's such a hard life for a lot of volunteers to make that work within their own lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? They have a career and they're doing things, and now they're devoted to their volunteer fire department. And then part 2 would be, let's go back to the Bronx. You're the battalion commander, 18th Battalion. I always brag about 80 Edge and 38 Truck, just one of my favorite firehouses. But, what can an officer, I guess, do to, in both places, on the volley side and on the career side, to kind of stoke that energy a little bit without coming off as a hard ass or the landlord? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I'll tell you one thing that works a lot in the volunteer firehouse, and it actually works in a paid place as well. But a lot of times there is a guy, like the couple of guys that you've just mentioned, that are just into it, that like keeping stuff neat and clean and professional looking. And sometimes it's military guys, or guys that are cops, or guys that are career guys somewhere else, or guys that are just into that. What happens is, if the officer notices that, then he encourages that guy. Hey, Tommy, you working tonight? Yeah. Or hey, Tommy, good. I'm glad you showed up for drill tonight here at the Volunteer Firehouse. How about we work on 86 tonight? Let's get her shined up. We just had her in the garage for a week. They just had to work on it, and even though we gave it a wash the day it came back, man, it really needs a little extra attention tonight. And before you know it, he's got 3 of the new young guys with brooms and not brooms, but brushes and buckets and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, there they are going to work on the rescue because one of the other guys is saying, "Hey, let's clean this thing up a little. It looks like hell, Or man, if we go into Washingtonville with this thing, it's going to look like we took it out of a junkyard, So obviously that works. In the city, sometimes rigs get less attention than they should because it's a job and because guys get busy doing lots of other stuff in the firehouse and going out on building inspection and taking in runs and coming back from this and coming back from that. I used to try, certainly not every day that I worked, but have the rig at least wiped down and rinsed down. You know what I'm saying? If it, depending on the weather and the season, in the wintertime, sometimes it's difficult rolling around, even in dry days. All the dust and sand is out on the roads and attaches to the rig. And, the rig just starts looking like crap. It takes a whole 10 minutes to give it a quick, hose and brush. And before you know it, the thing looks like it's brand new, So sometimes the officer just got to do a little kickstart in the morning and say, "Hey, after regular committee work, guys, let's give the rig a once over. It looks like it's been ignored lately." And you know what? They do it. There's very rarely is there any discussion about that.
Well, and it comes down to also, it's nice when the boss actually acknowledges something once in a while, instead of just walking past the rigs, right? You don't have to wear it out, but once in a while, who doesn't want to hear a compliment? "Hey, guys," or hey, Cap Salga, "What's up, Chief? Hey," and while the guys are outside, "Hey, make sure you tell the guys later, great freaking job at the rig." What? No, I remember I said it about Curtis. I used to say it about Curtis Burt. He's the training chief down in Pearland, Texas. Kurt and I and you have been together since the 90s, right? With FDIC and Saving Our Own and Get Out Alive. And I used this example before, John, you've heard it, walking across the floor and going, "Hey, Kurt, when they go to, "What's up, Chief? Hey, thanks, man. This is what the guys after a job." He's like, "What are you talking about?" "Thanks for doing us proud." "What do you mean, Chief?" "Look, you know what, buddy, the way you take care of our tools, even when our tools are all crapped up after a fire and laying on the front lawn, and I go, I can always spot our tools, because even when our tools are all crapped up for the fire, they still look better than everybody else's tools."
Right. Right.
And as I'm explaining this, he's looking at me, John, and he's rewrapping the Halligan. I'm like, and he's like, "Well," and, Curtis, he's like, "Well, aren't we supposed to do this? I mean, these are our tools." And I'm like, and I just, you said it before, and I'm like, I never had a problem. I don't have a problem when the guys on the career side or even the value side, when they wash and wax their Ford F-1000 pickup trucks and all this stuff they do, and they're all out back, armor all and honor guard and all that stuff. I guess I had a little bit of a rub when I'd walk in and see the $1.2 million, ladder truck, the tower ladder, or the engine, and it's all dirty and dusty. I'm like, really? You can't even take a towel and clean the dashboard or wipe it out or whatever and that kind of stuff. I mean, I have no problem to take care of your personal vehicle, but take care of our investment here when it comes to it. And I want to say, you mentioned something about you can have a 30-year-old concrete kind of oil stained floor that you don't have to spend $30,000 refinishing. But you and I have been in 100-plus-year-old firehouses that are in better shape and are cleaner than brand new ones. And we've seen 30-year-old fire engines that are kept better than brand new stuff, haven't we?
Absolutely. Yep. Including 38 and 88. That's over 100-year-old firehouse. Believe it or not.
Oh, the detail. You want to see a firehouse, go to the Bronx, go to, truck 38, engine 88. And, you can tell when you see guys have taken a little paintbrush and have painted little parts, like little cornices and little, what I'm saying? Just,
yep.
I love that. Squad was like that. I know Squad 1 was like that. You could get in there and
38 and 88, you never see a light bulb, like on a revolving light or on a brake light or a signal. You never see a bulb out. The minute that bulb is out, boom, somebody's on top of that. They got all the bulbs right there,
Well, John, again, you and I, it's easy for us to talk this way, but we know so many people, that are like us when it comes to taking care of the firehouse, the engine, and your tools. Who wants to show up with a clunker? Who wants to be the one that, when you look at the crews out there, what I'm saying? You can always tell, you can always see who the crews are that have their stuff together. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You can always Pigpen from Charlie Brown, the kid that brings the dirt cloud with him, you see their engine looks like crap. Their tools, you know, you look at you look on the rig and you go, so, oh man, they must have had a job, right? There's plaster and crap all over the hooks on the side of pike poles. No. What do we have? Oh, wasn't it a week ago or what? Really, this tool has sat on this engine. How many people have walked past this hook?
Right.
And it's all crapped up on you, and nobody said, I got to pull this off and just clean this real quick.
Right.
You know,
and you know what? And you know what? Like if you get a job at the end of a tour and you come back and it's shift change already, that's understandable. You're changing out of your work clothes, you're taking a shower, getting dressed, and going home. Nobody expects you to clean tools after the hour. There's a new crew on duty. But you get a job at 2 o'clock in the morning, you get a job at 9 o'clock at night. Those tools should be clean. I'm talking career department now, right? Those tools should be clean. So the next morning, when the next crew comes in, they're looking at clean tools, all wiped down, all put back in shape. Who are you to make the people that follow you clean the tools? That's just improper, and it's just, you know, it's not professional. You know,
it's not professional. You're right. Now, like you said, you catch a run. You've been busy all day. You're up in the, you know, it's the middle of the night, 4 a.m, you're back in. You know, that's the whole thing. And I know your guys, and I know the guys I've worked with are like, Tommy, don't worry about it. You guys, you're having coffee, you're doing the face-to-face relieving of your person, right? You know, position for position, right. Officer. You're like, John, yeah, well, you guys, oh God, we had a great job. We got back in about 4:30 in the morning. Look, dude, you know what? I sat in the recliner, I nodded off. We didn't take care of Rick, right? What do you say? Rick, calm down. We got it for you, brother. We got, don't worry about it. Go home. We'll
that
take
happens
care
once in a while everywhere, right?
And we all, right? Don't we all take care of each other? Get the hell out of here. We'll get it taken care of. You know, it's the people that knowingly, purposely leave stuff filthy and dirty for someone else to take care of that get to you. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's not cleaning the firehouse, not cleaning their engine, not take care of their tools. And I've seen your stuff, and I love when you see the guys and gals that wrap their tools, mark them with different color tape. You know, what I like is Chicago. Not only do they mark them, but I told you this before. Chicago's big still into the telegraph signals, right? But when Eddie Enright was in the 3rd Battalion, Battalion 3, it wasn't Battalion 3 on the telegraph. It's 233. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. Or Ray was 2. That's how he talked in the 4. I'd call Ray Hoff. Hey, 2 3 4. He's like, hey, 606. And we're talking like that. It was always the telegraph stuff. Well, they actually notch. If you look at the hooks, they notched their telegraph. It doesn't say truck 11. Their telegraph signal is notched into the hook. And to our listeners, if you ever go to Gordon Nord's photos, or Timmy Oak's photos, start looking at the tools from the city of Chicago, and you'll see the notches. That's how much they're into marking their tools and taking care of this stuff. Even busy companies, like Squad 5 and
right.
All the time. How hard is it, to keep a can of WD-40, to keep a little Brillo pad or have a little wire wheel you could take to clean up a tool, and and just again, I just think it's a reflection on you. Taking some ownership, taking some pride in your firehouse, your engine, and your tools. You know what I'm saying? I'm fortunate, to be working for a great chief in my volunteer department with a great group of people. Like just having that conversation with the captain, Chris Bashford the other night. I almost wanted to go out. It was late already. It's like midnight. I'm like, I want to go out and start cleaning stuff again. He had me all fired up about that. But now it's like there's a group of people going, so when are we doing the tanker, the tender? So we have a date set already to come up there and tear that apart. And we're just going to keep working our way through all the brush trucks and everything. And just, and just keep doing stuff. I don't know. I think it's catchy for a lot of people. For those that don't get into it, God bless you. You have to live with being a slob, I guess. But take care of your firehouse. Take care of your firehouse. Take care of your engine. Take care of your tools. I guess it's a great message. You got anything else on those 3, John? What would you say? What
no, just that it's all. I don't want to repeat myself, and I don't really mean contagious, but just that once you start taking the rig, then you take care of the rig, then you start taking care of the tools, then you start taking care of the apparatus floor. Before you know it, the guys are paying a little more attention to the kitchen and to the storage room or the tool room or the workshop or the workbench, and it's just one thing leads to another, and they're all very positive. That's all. It's just becomes very good. Yeah.
Yeah, if you take something out, put it away. If you take a tool out, put it away. If you see trash on the floor, if somebody left an empty bottle, Todd, just grab it. You know what? I said it the other night, John, real quick. I said, you know, we were doing something and and I kicked the kink out of the hose. And I said, whose job is it to kick kinks out of hose? Everybody's job, right? We've said it's everybody's job to kick kinks out of the hose on the fire ground. Well, whose job is it to throw the empty bottle, coffee cup, you know, the empty, pick up the trash, take the trash out, you know, whatever. It's everybody's job. It's everybody's job to take care of the firehouse, take care of your tools, and take care of your engine, your ladder, ambulance, whatever you have. So, all right, buddy. Hey, another good last minute topic. You and I.
Absolutely.
And it's
but a good one. Yeah.
I tell somebody it's so much fun because you and I, you know, we're on the phone like 15 times a day talking to each other. And it's like, so you'll bring up something or I'll bring up something. I'll go, there it is. Hey, what do you do? We got to do a show on that topic. We got to, you know, and, you know, because people go, you know, they always ask us, so, you know, when are you guys going to talk about this? I go, I really don't know. We don't have a script or a schedule. We just kind of, you know, whatever gets to us, or maybe there's a hot topic, but, well, to all our listeners, you know, thanks as always for joining us on the Command Post here and in our old school podcasts and everywhere else. Don't forget, FDIC has been moved from April to August 19th to the 24th in Indianapolis, FDIC International. So go to FDIC.com, check it out. John and I will be there. And pretty much everybody's sliding into the new slot. There might be one of your favorite instructors or may not be able to make it, but I doubt it. I think everybody's making adjustments. I said, Chief Bobby Hall, Diane Rothschild, Ginger, they've worked their butts off. Eric Slett to move the conference. God bless you for doing that. It's quite the project, if you will. But make sure you make that note. Check our websites, check our calendars. Again, if you want John and I out to do a class, or you want to do an online, a Zoom classroom session, a breakout, we're going to. Oh, real quick, John. Let me mention this. We're going to be doing some webinars with Columbia Southern University. Right now, they want to do once a quarter. So look for those. They'll hit that. We'll post it. We're going to be doing, you know, maybe a 60, 90-minute breakout session with Columbia Southern. We love our partners at Columbia Southern University. I'm an alum. John loves them. So look for that. We're going to be doing those webinars. We do some of our own. But give us a holler if you want to do something. John, I know you've got johnsalka.com as your website. Excuse me. What's a good email for them to get a hold of you at? chiefjohnsalka@gmail.com. And you can hit me at prideandownership.com and or at chieflasky@gmail.com. We're both on Facebook and Twitter and all that different stuff. So reach out to us. A little shout out to the boys and girls at Wichita West for taking care of the firehouse and the rigs like they always do. And I can't close without thanking Jason Darley from WS Darley again. Thank you, Jason, for, you know, treating us like family. I'm just going to say it. A business, a company that's been around for hundreds of years, treating us like family. Thanks, buddy, for that. John and I always ask you when we close out our shows to please keep the men and women serving our armed forces in your thoughts and prayers, as well as our brothers and sisters and our law enforcement family. Remember, never forgetting means never forgetting. All right. Thank you. Be safe and God bless you.